Welcome to this tutorial to learn a little bit more about the profit statement in the Labor Pricing for a Profit version 6.0 software. Once all of our costs are entered into the software, we can now look at some of the reports that are available to us. To look at the reports, we'll simply click on the Reports menu item on the left-hand toolbar, and all of our reports will be displayed. We're going to take a look at the profit statement in this tutorial, so we'll simply click on the profit statement. Now, the very first time you've run the report after you've made any kind of changes, you'll notice that it will actually calculate all of the values for your reports right there on the spot. If you haven't made any changes since the last time you've run the report, then the report will just display automatically. As with the rest of the reports, we've got our individual departments which are listed at the top of the screen. So we can see in our particular case, we've got the service department, installation department, retail store, and then we have a total for all departments down below. In the lower half of this window, we've got the profit and loss statement for the individual department that we have selected above. The only difference between this profit and loss statement and the one that you would get out of your accounting software is that everything in the Labor Pricing for a Profit software is shown to you from a cash flow perspective. In other words, we look at it based on the cash flowing into and out of your checkbook versus your QuickBooks or your accounting software looks at it from an accounting perspective, and there's some very significant differences there. What your QuickBooks or your accounting software shows you may not necessarily agree with the money that's flowing into and out of your checkbook. This software will always agree with that. It's done on a cash flow basis. So again, at this point, we've got the service department highlighted at the top. We're now showing our profit and loss statement for our service department down below. We have two different report formats that we can look at, and right now we're looking at the annual profit and loss by department. So again, as we select service department on top, we'll see the service department at the bottom. We can scroll down on this report and see the rest of the values that make up this individual report, including our total net income at the bottom. Now, one of the things that you'll notice is this little note right down here at the bottom of this report in the lower left. If you double click on a line, you'll retrieve the detail for that particular line. So for example, we can take any one of these costs, and let's say the equipment replacement fund. I can double click on its value, and when I do so, we'll immediately do a drill down report that shows us what makes up that particular value. In this particular case, we're seeing all of our equipment that we entered into the equipment replacement costs screen. I'll close out this report and come back to our on-screen report. We'll take the office supplies item here. I'll double click on that one, and it will show me exactly what I had entered in for my office supplies to give me my total that is being displayed on this particular report. So that's just one of the nice features that have been added to the profit and loss report, or the profit statement report in the software. Now, as I change departments at the top, you'll notice that the report at the bottom immediately changes to display that department's information. So we can do that for each of our individual departments, or if we click on all departments, we will get a total for our company as a whole. Now, we can display this report just a little bit differently by changing our report format here in the middle. Again, up until this point, we've been displaying the annual profit and loss by department. If we click on just the straight annual profit and loss, the report will reconfigure just a little bit differently, and now we'll show each of our individual categories and list each department in our company as well as all departments combined, stacked side by side next to each other. So it's just a little bit different view of each of these items. Now, in this particular report, if we're displaying it as an annual profit and loss where we're showing all departments at the same time, we don't have that drill down capability. The drill down capability is available anytime you see that note. Double click on a line to retrieve detail for that line anytime you see that note in the bottom corner. So we've got those two individual formats that we can display this particular item on the screen. Now, there's a few additional features that have been added to this particular report. First off, I'm going to go back and look at just one individual department. Right now we can see the numbers for the service department are being calculated to generate a 15% net profit, 15% rate return on income before taxes. We can change that if we'd like simply by clicking on Modify Method, and if we do so, we can choose a different method. So let's say we want to change our hourly rate to $140 per hour. We can accept that. It will immediately recalculate all the data for the reports and display the new report based on these new numbers of an hourly rate at $140 per hour. So we have complete flexibility for changing the values that are in the report itself. Now, the other items that we have is the what-if analysis. The what-if analysis simply lets you say, okay, what if we make some changes? What if the sales were to increase a little bit? What if we could decrease some of our overhead expenses? How would that benefit us? How would it look within our financial side of our company? So I'm going to click on the what if analysis icon, and the profit and loss adjustment window opens up. And again, we're looking at just the service department here. So we can see here that it's displaying our total sales, material sales, subcontractors, for a grand total sales here in the top column. Middle section gives us our cost of sales and service, and then the operating expenses are on the bottom. Now on each of these, we've got the plus sign here. We can click on the plus sign. It will simply change from a plus to a minus. In other words, do we want to add a couple of percent to sales, or do we want to subtract a couple of percent from sales? If we can increase sales by 5%, and let's say down here in the overhead expense section, if we can decrease our expenses by 1%, we'll do both the variable and the fixed, we can immediately see the impact on our company. The original values showed us a net income of $76,899. With those couple little changes, our net income has increased to $93,987. So it's just a real quick tool that we can use to see what those kind of changes would make within our company. Now, again, with this report, as well as every other report in the software, we've got the ability to click on the printer and print it off on paper. Click on the preview, which will actually give us a preview on the screen itself. Click on the PDF icon, which sends it out to a Adobe Acrobat PDF file, or we can send this item to Microsoft Excel. So I'm now going to close out this window. We're done here. And you'll notice that, again, even on the main report itself, we've got the same 4 icons to print, display, send it to a PDF file, or send it to Excel. That's available to us on each and every one of our screens. When we close out of any report, you'll recall a little bit earlier, we clicked on the Modify Method icon here. When we close out of this report, the software will immediately ask us, okay, since you were looking at this report, you modified the method. Do you want to save those changes to your actual company model, or were you just playing a what-if scenario? And if you don't want to, you can simply click on No, and the software will immediately revert back to the values that you had before. So if I come back into the profit statement, you'll see that my service department is once again at a 15% net profit before taxes. Well, this concludes the tutorial for the profit statement. We hope that you'll certainly take a look at the rest of the tutorials to cover the balance of the reports on this menu item. Thank you.